again, I welcome you all to our program. Now, this program is part of summer reading, and our theme this year is Oceans of Possibilities. And we're very excited. It's going great so far. And if you want to find out about all the things that we have going on for summer, you can go to our landing page at hcplc.org/summer. You can find out about our reading challenges. We have some great book lists there. You can find out about how to win prizes and a lot more. So I can't say enough and recommend, please go check it out. All right, so moving on. Again, this is our our program, ZooTampa Saves. We're going to talk about river otters today. This program is in partnership with our great partners over there at ZooTampa at Lowry Park. Also, we'd like you to continue the experience. We have a couple great river otter books from our Hoopla collection. You can see the titles here. Hoopla, there's no wait. You can check these books out, ebooks, I should say, immediately. And now to find out more about our books and our ebooks that we have in our collection, you can go to hcplc.org/ebooks. All right, now before I introduce our presenter, we have a wonderful video that our friends at ZooTampa put together. So let me go ahead and bring that up.
We have two otters here at ZooTampa. We have a female named Harriet and a male named Quigley. They were both rescued from the wild with different background stories. Harriet has been here with us for many years. She's about 14 years old, and she was rescued from Florida. And then Quigley is newer to us. He was rescued in North Carolina as a pup, so he was found alone and should have still been with mom, and he also had a tail injury. So they were both deemed non-releasable due to their history in the wild, so they were able to make ZooTampa their permanent home, where they will live out the rest of their lives here with us. So fortunately for us, in the Florida realm of the zoo, most of our animals are animals that needed permanent homes because they weren't thriving in the wild for different reasons, including the river otters. All three of our black bears and all three of our panthers were also rescued from the wild and deemed non-releasable. So the otters are a super fun animal to have here at the zoo and definitely a guest favorite. They spend a lot of their time swimming, playing around in the water, interacting with each other and guests at the windows. They're very social animals and they really enjoy playtime, so they're really fun to watch. In the wild, the otters are opportunistic feeders. They are carnivores, but they will eat whatever they can kind of find in the wild. You'll usually find them near water, whether it's streams or lakes. They'll eat different types of shellfish. They'll also eat insects if needed and smaller mammals. Here at the zoo, we feed them primarily a ground meat that was designed specifically for zoo animals, as well as a couple different types of fish. One of their favorites is shrimp. Otters can be found all over North America, so they tolerate all climates pretty well. You definitely can keep an eye out for them anywhere that you're near a source of fresh water, so you'll definitely see them around rivers and lakes, so you definitely can have the opportunity to see them almost anywhere in Florida. So the easiest thing that you can do to help keep river otters safe in the wild is to make sure we keep our waterways clean, because that's a really important environment for them. As well as if you see them, make sure you're watching them from afar. We don't want to interact with them or get them too used to human contact. So otters have some really interesting adaptations. Their fur is super important in their survival, so it helps keep them warm even in the colder climates and in the colder water. Their fur has an oil on it that helps keep them insulated. They also are able to hold their breath for a very long time, so that helps them with swimming and hunting. Here at ZooTampa, we have the opportunity to do some training with our river otters. They're super social and they're very smart, so it's something that helps us with their own health care, where they can participate in different behaviors to help us with that. So they are trained for some simple behaviors like a target, which helps us move them from one area to another, where we can get a good look at different body parts, as well as trained for voluntary injections in case they ever need an injection of any kind that can help with their health care as well. We also help them participate in a lot of different training for fun. Since they are so social and they like to have fun, we will do different training sessions things just to kind of mix up their day, send them to the different areas of the habitat and spend some time socializing with them. Our habitat here at ZooTampa has 2 large pools, which is great for our river otters because they do like to spend a majority of their time swimming, and that gives them plenty of opportunity to dive deep, play with some different enrichment that we can throw into the pools. And then we have a few nice shaded areas for them to get out and dry off and sleep in. One of their favorite things to do is dry off in a big dirt pile, so we have a nice sand pit in their habitat as well for them. Both of our river otters here at ZooTampa are super friendly. They like to spend time socializing. A lot of times you can find Quigley in the pool interacting with guests, especially little children. He finds them really fun to interact with.
All right, well, that was a great video. How cute are those otters? So now I'd like to welcome our guest presenter to come back on camera. We have Kelsey from ZooTampa at Lowry Park, and she's gonna, hey, Kelsey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm great. Well, we're excited to hear more about these wonderful otters, and I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera and microphone off, but if you need me, I'll be right here, okay?
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for logging in. I love to talk about our animals and love that you guys want to hear about them. Like Lisa said in the video, we are home to 2 rescued North American river otters, Harriet and Quigley. So Harriet's story is actually pretty special. She was an orphan pup, just like Quigley, but she was actually found underneath a car by the public. So we're not quite sure what happened to her mom or how she ended up hiding underneath a car, but she was taken by the public to the local Largo ASPCA and then transferred here shortly after. And that was back in 2007. So she turned 15 this past March. And that's a very old age for an otter. Typically, the average lifespan is only like 7 to 9. So we are so happy to have her here and happy that she's still thriving. Quigley just turned 2 this summer. So he definitely brought the young spunk back in her, which we love to see. As you saw in the video, they are a ton of fun. So doing all of those training sessions and enrichments with them is super enjoyable to watch for us and the guests as well. Actually, one of our injection trainings that Lisa mentioned in the video, we successfully completed. Both Harry and Quigley just got their COVID vaccines, which our team is super proud of and happy about. So that took a lot of months of training and getting them comfortable with that. So the fact that we are able to do that and able to keep them safe just through our trusting relationship with them and training sessions is a big deal. They love to learn, so we'll teach them everything that they want. You saw that Quigley was running on his little otter wheel, we call it. He loves that thing. So we like to have fun with them. Enrichment, like I mentioned, is super awesome. So enrichment, the goal is to elicit their natural behaviors that they would have out in the wild, whether that be physical activity or searching for food, drying off their fur. That is one way you can notice them out in the wild if they're not just out sunbathing. If you're on a boat and you see a lot of bubbles come up from the water, if you saw in the video when Quigley or Harriet dives down, a lot of the air from their coat or their fur releases, and that's because they have to dry off so quickly once they get out. So that is one way you can identify if there are any river otters in the streams or rivers that you guys are enjoying in the summer. But yeah, they are really awesome animals, like I mentioned. They have to eat very frequently, so we feed them at least 4 to 6 times a day. So we spend a ton of time with them. They have very fast metabolisms, and they can dive down 60 feet deep, but they typically only hold their breath for about 5 minutes. So they do a lot of their hunting during that time, catching all those fish and those shrimp, and they dive down majority of their day and spend a lot of the time in the water. But we are so happy to have them both here and educate the public about what they can do to help their populations and to just make sure they're watching from afar. It is really cool to see them out in the wild when you're boating or enjoying those rivers or fishing or whatever you're doing outside. But the second you get close to them is when those moms start to get worried and might abandon their pups. And that could have possibly happened to Quigley or Harriet. So we're grateful to give them a forever home, but we do wish that they were still with their mom and still out in the wild. So anything that you guys can do to help and to keep them far away, and just it's really neat to see them, but keeping their space is definitely very important. Habitat loss is a huge issue for them. So another thing you guys can do is, if you're on social media supporting the Florida Wildlife Corridor Foundation, they set out to preserve as much wild Florida land as possible, preserving all the animals that call that land home. So not just our river otters, but also our black bears and our panthers that Lisa also mentioned in that video. So just little things that we can do to support and make these populations stick around for years to come. But I think that's all I have. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer them for you.
All right. Thank you, Kelsey. Yeah, like she mentioned, go ahead and post your questions in the question section and we will share them. And we do have some questions coming in. Someone is asking, how deep can they go into the water usually?
So our pools are around, we have two pools, a 12 feet and a 15-foot pool, but they can dive down up to 60 feet out in the wild.
Oh, wow, that's deep.
Yes, very deep.
Let's see. Someone's asking, are there volunteer opportunities specifically with the otters?
Unfortunately, there are not. Our team does have internships, and our interns help us care for our otters. So if you're interested in that aspect, we will take all the interns we can get. But unfortunately, there are no volunteers. It'd just be the interns.
All right. Let's see. Our next question. Okay, how do otters communicate? Do they make specific sounds of any sort?
Yeah, so they communicate through various different ways. They do vocalize, so you could hear them whistle, scream, growl. They do all those typical sounds that you'd think a cat would make. It's very similar to what an otter would sound like, but also just in their body posture and scent marking. They have a gland right underneath their tail. So out in the wild to other animals, they communicate the most through scent marking their territory.
Okay. All right. How much do they usually weigh? How big do they usually get weight-wise?
So they can actually range quite a bit, especially male versus female. So the average would be anywhere from 11 to even 30 pounds.
Okay. So someone's asking, why do otters need to be with their mothers?
So they are great moms, and they do nurse from them, and they kind of teach them the ropes as where to migrate, how to hunt for their food and things like that. So they definitely have to stay with their moms for at least a few months to 6 months of their life.
Let's see. This related to that question. How many offspring do the mothers usually have or bear?
A litter can be anywhere from 4 to 6 typically, but that's a large litter. The average is more like 3.
3. Okay.
But they can be larger than that.
Yeah. All right. How long do they get?
Oh, that's a good question. That one might stump me a little bit. I would say from nose to tail, our otters are in the 1.5 to 2 feet range.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But their tail definitely takes up majority of their body.
Okay. Let's see. Do the otters recognize the staff?
They definitely recognize us. We spend a lot of time with them, like I mentioned, in our training sessions, and a successful way to have a good relationship with your animal for those training sessions is spending a lot of time getting them comfortable with your voice and your mannerisms and building that strong relationship with them. So it's just like an animal that you would have, like a cat or dog at home. We spend a lot of time with them building that trusting relationship. So they definitely recognize us.
Okay. Someone's asking, how long do they usually sleep?
They sleep quite frequently, but it's for short periods of time. So they are spending a lot of their day swimming, very active. They are very high energy, low metabolism type animals. So they have to hunt a lot and spend a lot of their time doing that. But when they are sleeping, they do multiple times throughout the day for about 5 to 10 minutes. So a lot of short naps.
That, I think you answered the next question is, why do they eat so many meals every day? It sounds like they have high metabolism, so they burn off that
Yes, so since they have so much energy and they're diving down and swimming a lot of the time, they have to eat so much to keep that burning or keep their calories up, so that they don't burn into their acid. It actually is an issue if they don't get enough food out in the wild, they can pass away from not eating enough.
Okay. Now you mentioned that they recognize staff and interact with them. Now, are otters considered to be dangerous or aggressive at all?
They can be. We have protected contact with them, so we are never in the same area. We do not touch them. We do not hold them or do any of that sort. So we always have some kind of barrier in between us. Whether it's in their night house, we have their barrier in there, or outside. You saw Lisa was tossing food in from up above. So we definitely always keep that barrier because they still are a wild animal, but we're lucky enough that we can build a relationship with them because they are non-releasable, so they're not going back to the wild, but we still want to treat them as a wild animal.
This is related to the question, are their teeth sharp?
Yes, they have very, very, very sharp teeth. We do hand feed them. So they are trained to open their mouth so that we can check their dentals to make sure that they're looking okay and everything's staying healthy. Harriet, especially since she's getting so high up there in age, she's starting to have some dental issues and she's on some medication. So that is one of the training that we do with them to check their teeth. So I definitely know and can honestly say they are very sharp. They have to grind all of that fish and shellfish out in the wild. So they definitely need those sharp teeth to be able to do that.
All right. Someone's asking, do they prefer to be in packs or do they prefer to be alone?
They are very social. You will see them. They're kind of like us. They're okay to be alone, but they're okay to be in a group as well. But the most common times you'll see them is in a group.
Group, okay. We have time for a couple more questions. Someone is asking, where would someone, I guess like they're asking about rehabilitation facilities in Florida. Are there any ones that people can contact in case they do encounter an otter?
Typically just your wildlife rehab. There are no specific like otter rehabilitation centers, but any wildlife rehab will be able to help with that.
All right. And one more question. You were talking about the training. And someone's just curious, do they do any sort of tricks or anything like that?
Tricks, not so much. They definitely know how to dive into the water. If we send them into the water, they can dive into the water when we ask them. They know how to sit. We'll just say seat and they sit on their little brick. They can stand, they can open their mouth. So some little things. We did just start teaching Quigley how to spin. So maybe with Quigley we can get some fun tricks up his sleeve, but we'll see.
Well, that's cute. All right. Well, thank you for all those great questions, everyone. And thank you, Kelsey, for talking with us this morning and sharing your information and answering the questions.
Yes, of course. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. We love partnering with ZooTampa. Okay, so I've got one last slide to share with everyone. If you want to contact the library, you can call us at 813-273-3652 or go online at hcplc.org/contact. Also on our website, you can share your library story, and you can also find out about upcoming events and programs on our calendar. All right, with that, I will say thank you to everyone who joined us, and thank you again, Kelsey, for this great presentation. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.